Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System. And I had so much fun making those spacer earrings that I decided to do it again as a bracelet. I have a ton of these metal spacers. And I thought, okay, we're going to do some more steampunk stuff. So we're going to do some just working with metal on metal, some stacking of the metal beads to make links to make a bracelet. Yay. See my earrings? Awesome. Yay. Fun. Anyway, so we're going to do that today. It's going to be a simple matter of linking them together and grouping the beads the way you want them to look. So this is not going to be a hard project at all, and I think it's going to come out really very, very nicely. So all you'll need for this are your usual tools, your round nose pliers. The barrels on both sides are completely round. They taper smaller towards the tip. Then you have your square nose pliers, sometimes a little confusing to people because they're slightly rounded on the outside and they're not sure whether these are the round ones or not, but they are not because on the inside, it's completely flat. Now, when you buy these in the store, if you order them online, make sure you get the ones that don't have those little grips or ridges on the inside because that will ruin your wire. It'll just chew it right up. And lastly, you need a pair of clippers. These are flesh cutters. As you can, I don't know if you can see, these are really, look at that. They've got all kinds of dents and things in them. And I have to get rid of them soon. But they work for me right now, so I'm keeping them. Anyway, any kind of cutters, these flesh cutters or just regular wire cutters for jewelry making is fine for this project. We're going to be using two types of wire. We're going to be using 22 gauge to make our links and 20 gauge to make our clasp, because as you know, anybody who knows me knows that I like to make my own clasp. So that's what we're going to do. So let's get down to the other camera and get started. Okay, like I said, I have all of these little things that I pulled out, just scooped them out of the bag so that I could put together some little groupings. And I've already done that. So I've got this little group right here. And I want you to kind of see, it's just all of these different shapes. I've got different sizes of square, just little flat squares and round ones. Just little, just all kinds of, just a hodgepodge of little metal beads. And I'm going to put them together into a link, just because why not? So much fun. So anyway, those of you who get kits are going to get a bunch of these things, and then you can just put them together any way you would like them to look. Okay. Put these back in the bag because I've already got my little, nope, I've got to leave these out because I don't have everything picked out yet. All right, so I'm going to grab my 22 gauge wire, and what I would suggest is that you just give yourself a long strand of wire to work from, because it's going to depend on how many beads you put on your wire and how much wire your beads take up as to how much wire you need. I would give myself a good inch to an inch and a half in addition to the space that your beads take up. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I have, 6 inches of wire here just to start with because it was already cut. And I'm just going to go with that. So what I'm going to do is give myself about an inch to an inch and a half of wire on one end, and I'm going to bend it over to the side and make a loop. So I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, slide my wire down. I don't need a huge loop. I'm going to be linking these to each other. So just enough of a size of a loop to link to the next link. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that down about a third of the distance from the tip of my plier. So I just segment this off in thirds I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way down to give myself a decent sized link, because I don't want it to be too tiny. I'm making it very organic and steampunky, so I don't want these little teeny tiny dainty loops. I want it to be a decent substantial size so it can be unisex. A guy can wear it, a gal can wear it, and everybody will feel comfortable in that. Anyway, so I bent my wire off to the side so that when I make my loop, it will end up on top. I call it on the top of my wire, so it looks like a little lollipop. So I'm going to take my small wire and wrap it around my pliers until it's flat against the bottom of my pliers, and down in the same direction, going in the same direction as the long strand. Then I'm going to open my pliers up and just redirect them to the top of my half loop that I've made. And then I'm going to bring that short tail under the pliers again and over to the side until I have my loop. So there's my loop. Let me get these out of the way so that you can see what's happening. That's causing a glare. So there's my little loop on top of my wire. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and I can see this is a little slightly off to the side, just slightly. So I'm going to roll it a little bit so that it's nicely placed in the center of my long wire. Go ahead and get my little, I call this as a little scarf. Get that back out to the side where I want it. And there we go. Very nice. Okay, a little clearer. There we go. And so I'm going to go ahead and put my beads on in whatever order I want. Now, I'm putting these on in the order that I want them. You can come up with whatever order you like. What I'm going to do is take a look at what I've got and just decide how to arrange them. And I've kind of got an idea already. I've got these two little gold oval shaped ones. I'm going to put one of those on one end. And I think I'm going to alternate it, silver and gold. So let's see here. Let's put this little silver guy on there. Yeah, put that little silver one on. And what? I'm going to go with this gold square one. Let's put that on. Now be aware that a lot of these openings are very large. So you want to make sure that the one that you put it next to isn't going to get swallowed up into the hole. So, okay, I've got that. And I'm going to go silver again. So I'm going to put this square silver on. And then this round gold. And then I'm just going to go back the other way. Square silver, square gold. The round silver. This guy's teeny tiny. And it's not the same as the one on the other side. This one on the other side was a little flatter, but it doesn't matter. We're just stacking. And there it is. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, I like that. That'll make a nice link. All right. So now I'm going to go to the other side here. I'm going to bend my wire right here at the top of my bead. I want to put a bend in it right at the top. I don't want a big space in there. So I'm going to hold on to that, bend that over like so. Come in with my round nose pliers and make a loop on the other side. Slide my wire 1/3 of the way down my pliers again. Bring that tail over the top and down the side, right there, running parallel to the beads. Then I'm going to open up my pliers. My wrist was twisted. and redirect that to the top of my loop and bring that wire tail. Oh, this is in the way. Get out of the way. Bring that wire tail under my pliers until I have a loop. Now I can see that this loop is a little bigger than that loop. So I'm going to go back in down to my third of the way spot. Yeah, I can see where there's a little bit of space there. So I'm just going to pull my wire until it gets smaller. And now they're the same size, or closer to the same size. A little bit more. Here we go. So there are my two loops. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this wire off, giving myself so I have enough wrapping length. It's about 1 inch, maybe 3/4. There we go. So that's ready to be linked to whatever I link it to. But I'm not going to wrap it quite yet. Yes, I am, because I've already got these started. I'm not going to show you that yet. I'm just going to put this to the side. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, just a little. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side. Tighten that up a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put this one to the side and grab one here. This one, this little group. This is a big group of beads. Ooh, this little piece of wire is not going to be enough. So let me go ahead and grab another piece of wire, because I'm pretty sure, no, this is probably going to take up about the same amount of space as this. But I'm going to go ahead and give myself, I don't really know what to give myself. I'm going to go ahead and put my beads on. Let's put the beads on, then I can determine how much space my beads are going to take up. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can put your beads on, measure it, see how much space your beads take up, and then add that 1 to 1.5 inches on each side to that number. For instance, if I had 1 inch worth of beads on 1 inch worth of wire taken up from my beads, then I'd give myself at least 1 inch. I'd say at least 1.25 inches, just so you have enough to wrap with on each side. So that would be 2.5 inches plus the 1 inch for my beads. That's 3.5 inches of wire. So you can do that. Because each one of these links is going to be different, you can't just cut a bunch of pieces of wire, because you're not going to know how much you need from link to link. So I can go ahead and instead of cutting up my wire, I can leave it the way it is. Those of you who get kits, just leave it intact. And you can go ahead and put your beads on. If you don't want to put the beads on, measure, cut, measure, take the beads back off, cut, and put the beads back on again. You can go ahead and put the beads on and leave them on that long strand. Don't unfurl it so they won't fall off the other end, and then do your measurement. That's what I'm going to do, just to show you how to do that. In the meantime, I need to figure out how to group my beads. I've got lots of possibilities here, and they are all different, except for these two. These are the same, I think. All right, well, let's just go. I'm going to start with a silver, since I started with the gold on the other one. Now, you don't have to worry about that. You can always start with gold or always start with silver. But I'm just playing. Okay, so let's do that round silver. Let's do this square. It's like a little double square thing. Put that on. And then let's put this. These are 2 different sizes, which is fine. I'm going to put that on that round silver. I'm going to put this really neat square gold bead that has the sides kind of, it's not really a square because the sides are squared off. This is fun. Then I'm going to put this bigger silver round one on, and this second square gold. Then I'm going to put this, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that's fine. And then I'm going to put this other gold on. So I've got two golds together, but who cares? And a silver. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So that is this link. Isn't that neat? I love it. Anyway, so that's that link. Let's see how much space it takes up. At this. That takes up about not quite an inch of space. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself that 3.5 inches that I was talking about. So I'm going to go down here to the end. I'm going to bend my wire off to the side. Give yourself a good, I'd say a good 1.25 to 1.5 inches of wire. Bend it. Make your loop. Just like we did the other one. Slide my wire about 1/3 of the way down my pliers. Bring the tail of my wire over the top of my pliers and down the side until it's running parallel with the other wire. Get that together there. Then hold on to my wire, open my pliers up and reposition them on top of the loop that I've started, and then bring that short tail of wire under and on top of the long tail. Now I can see that this is a little mangled. Ooh, look at that. It's way over to the side. How do I fix that? I go back in with my pliers and roll my loop until it's centered on top of my wire. There we go. See that? Nice. I'm going to get rid of that little bend that's in there because I don't need that. Boom. There we go. Straighten out my little scarf. Nice. And slide my beads back down. I love it. Okay, and let's make a loop. Bend it right there at the top of my bead again. Go in with my pliers. 1/3 of the way down the pliers with the wire. Bring my wire over the top and down the side until I can't go any further because the beads are in the way. Hold on to the wire and the beads. Open my pliers up and reposition them on top of my loop and bring that wire under the pliers until I have a nice little loop on top. Cut off the rest of that wire so it's not in my way. And I have a second link. Aren't those awesome? So let's put them together. Let's put them together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is wrap up one of my loops. So I'm going to go in, grab my square pliers, hold on to what I call the face, which is the flat part of my loop, bring that tail of wire around right under the bottom of my loop here. Nice and snug. And then I'm going to wrap again. And then I like to stop and see what I have. Pretty good. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to wrap. Now that this one's closed, that wrapped all the way around, let's cut off that little tail. And I like the tip, the little end, after I cut it off, to land right in the middle of my loop. Let me straighten my loop out. Because I find that it makes it easier to keep that little tip from scratching. If it's off over on the side, it can scratch your skin or catch on something a lot easier than if it's in the center of your loop. So I'm going to cut that little end off. Get off of there. Grab my square pliers and push down that little tip against the other wires. A little bit more. I like to go behind it, just follow it around. There we go, much better. Okay, now I'm going to grab my link and I'm going to slide my closed loop down the stem of my wire and snap it into my open loop. So there's my little link. So now I'm going to go back with my square pliers, grab the face of the loop that I need to wrap closed, and wrap that wire around. You can wrap that around as many times as you want. You can match them up, the same number of wraps on each side, or you can just make it really organic and wrap 5 times on one side, 4 times on the other, entirely up to you. Just whatever looks good. Here we go. I like the look of that. I'm going to go ahead and cut that tail off. Again, I want the little tip to land right up in the center of my wire here, of my loop here. Cut that little tail off. Get off of there. I'm telling you, my cutters are not the greatest these days. And push that little tip down. Nice. And there's my little link. Now I am going to connect this with the others. Nice. Okay, so let's see here. This one ended in gold, so we'll put this silver one on. And you don't have to do that. That's just what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one up. Since this one's open, I can go ahead and close this and attach it with the other one. So go ahead and wrap that as many or as few times as you want. I am not counting. I'm just wrapping until it looks the way I want it to look. And then I just cut off what I don't want. Okay. Snip that off. Oh, I'm going to show you something. I want to show you something, but I already cut that, so I can't yet. Still working here. My timer's saying you talk too much. Okay, let's push that little tip down. I've gotten so I put a timer on my classes for time management purposes, because everybody's socializing, having a really good time. The next thing you know, we have 10 minutes and they're going, what? Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to attach my gold to my silver. Again, I'm going to slide that closed loop down my stem and into my open loop. Grab my square pliers and hold on to my little face. And notice how I make sure that the other one is not in the way. I don't want to grab them both, otherwise I run the risk of smashing this one, and we don't want to do that. Okay, so let's wrap that tail just under my loop and over the top of my bead, just between the two, as many times as you want. I've got so much wire here that I'm tempted to just keep on wrapping so as not to waste. Yeah, I'll stop. Otherwise, I'm going to overpower my bead. Now, I wanted to show you something. I see people take their pliers when they get ready to cut and they go, So what happens is they end up with a crimped up piece of wire that it's not straight anymore, and they have a hard time pushing it down into the wrap. Because if you do that with your pliers, I don't know why they do it, just to try to get it to cut faster or something, I don't know, but you end up with this, or worse, just a whole bent up piece of wire, and that's hard to direct in where you want it for when you cut it off. Now, where'd I end up? This one, yeah. Okay, so don't do that. That's all I wanted to say. When you cut, make sure you cut it nice and straight. I like to get the little turn started so that it's already going in the direction that I'm going to push it down. And then I go in there. And if you need to, because like the tip of my pliers, my cutters is not as strong as it used to be, slide down to where you still got some leverage. And then cut. Boom. And I think I cut a little, not enough. So let me go back in and make it shorter. There we go. And take my pliers, there's my little tip. And I like to go behind it and push it down. I find that it makes it easier to get it to lay in place if I do that, rather than starting at the other side and trying to do it from this end. I mean, you can. Some people do that very well. This is just my process. Nice, very nice and clean. So this is what I have so far. Now, at this point, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 links going here. So at this point, isn't that neat? That looks really, really neat. I really like that. Yeah, getting a lot of sun glare today. Okay, anyway. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and measure because I need 7.5 inches and I don't want to go too far over that. However, you may be able to just link, make one of these a dangle if it's too big. But let's see. I have 6.5 and I need to make a clasp and a loop. So that's going to give me, depending on how big I make. Oh yeah. So I am finished with this. I was gonna do another one, but I think it's gonna be make it too long if I do. Let's see. I had this really neat coil, and I was just gonna add that, but I think that might make it too big. Darn. Unless I make that my loop or my hook. I could do that. Let's see. So with that added, that's gonna definitely take it up to the 7.5. And then the hook and the link and the loop are gonna make it too big. So what I think I will do is take this, one of these. I'm gonna make this. No, I'm not gonna be able to do it. It's just gonna be too big if I try. I was gonna say I'll make one of use this to make the hook and something else to make the loop, but I think it's just gonna make it too big if I try to do that. Maybe if I used one of these beads to do the hook and one of them to be the loop. Maybe that would work. Decisions, decisions. What do I want to use for my hook and my loop? Now, I like beaded hooks and beaded loops. You don't have to do that. You can just make a plain hook and a plain loop and be done with it. Cat. I'm just playing around. I'm just having a good time in here. Here's a slightly bigger one. You know what? I'm going to use this for my hook and this for my loop. Yeah. Should I use this guy? I like that too. Ooh, I like this one too. Ah, I don't know what to choose. This little one. What do you think, guys? What do you think? I don't know. I don't know what to do. This is neat. Double square thing. That's kind of cool. Ugh. Decisions, decisions, decisions. What else have I got in here? Ooh. Ooh, look at that. Can you see that? That's awesome. I'm going to put that on one end and this on the other end. So one of these is going to be my loop. There we go. One of these is going to be my loop and the other one's going to be my hook. Yeah. Okay. All right. So how to make a wrapped loop. Let's get this piece of wire that I have here that I didn't use. This is about, no, we're not using that because I'm using 20 gauge. So I'm switching to 20 gauge wire to make my hook and my loop. So they're nice and strong. All right. So what I'm going to do is, again, you need to decide how much you need in addition to your loop. But it's pretty easy for that. I know the loop takes about 3 inches. So I'm going to give myself 3.5 inches to accommodate a bead. That's going to be too much. Let's go 3 inches. 3 inches to make my loop. Let's cut that off. Wait, slid. Yeah, 3 inches. Okay, I'm going to make a loop and I just need, I'm going to start with the big loop that the hook's going to go through. So for that, I need about 1.25 inches of wire. And you can measure or you can eyeball it. It's up to you. So I'm going to give myself 1.25 inches, bend my wire back, slide my pliers under the short tail there. And I'm going to go about halfway down because I want to make sure that the loop is big enough to support my hook. So I'm going to go about halfway down my pliers, bring my wire over the top and down the side of my pliers. Still working. Down the side of my pliers till they're both running parallel. Hold on to my wire, reposition my pliers on top of my loop, and bring that tail under my pliers until I have my loop. And I can see it's leaning a little bit to the side, so I'm going to go back in, roll it until it's right on top there. Let's straighten out your little scarf. And there we go. Make that a little tiny bit bigger. There we go. So I'm a little more than halfway down my pliers. Just want to make sure it's big enough to accommodate my hook. All right, so I'm going to switch to my square pliers. And because I have these still open, I can go ahead and wrap this closed. If these were closed, I need to attach that before I wrap this, but they're open, so as long as one's open, the other one can be closed up. Okay, I'm gonna wrap that around, and I only need 1 to 1.5 times around. You really don't need much, just enough to secure your loop. Okay, so that's wrapped around. We cut that tail off. And push that little end down. There we go, nice. Now, I'm gonna put my bead on. Which one do I want on the loop side? I think I'll put the gold one on the loop side. Put that little bead on and make a loop on the other side. And this loop can be a little smaller because it's just attaching to the rest of your links. It doesn't have to be as big as this one. If you don't think this is big enough and you have enough wire to do it, you look at that and you go, my loop on the other side should probably be bigger. You can still do it, but this is big enough. So I'm going to go ahead and slide my wire 1/3 of the way down my pliers, just like I did with my other links. Bring that tail over the top and down the side of my beads, reposition my pliers, and bring the tail under my wire under my pliers between the loop and the beads, just like so. And now I'm ready to wrap. And you can see that this one's smaller than this one. This one is the one that's going to accommodate my hook. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap that. And because of the way the beads that you're stacking are made, it's metal on metal and it's smooth. So be aware that these are going to shift a little bit, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can get them as tight as you can, but a little movement is not a problem. Okay, and cut off that tip there. And push that end down. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Nice. Nice, neat, and tidy. So that's my loop side of my clasp. Now I'm going to grab another piece of wire. My scarf is falling off. And for this, I'm going to give myself 4 inches. Okay. Get that off. And then I'm going to measure from the tip about 1.25 inches. And that's going to be for my hook. So I'm measuring 1.25 inches from the tip here. I'm going to bend this short tail in half so that it rests right alongside the long wire. Then I'm going to squeeze it as much as I can with my fingers to get those wires as close together as I can. Then when I can't squeeze it any further with my fingers, I'm going to take my square pliers and squeeze those 2 strands together. Just take your time, be very patient. And there we go. Get those as close together as possible. Once I've done that, I'm going to go down here to the bottom. Straighten that out so it's not crossing the other wire. Side by side. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom, about 1/2 inch from the end of this short tail here. And I'm going to bend the wire straight up. Like so, just with my finger, just bend it up so that now this is what I have. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers. Oh, I meant it a little to the side, but that's okay. Still going to work. And wrap this short tail around the long stem. Now, if you try to do it down here, this is going to shift around. You don't have as good a grip. So go back here closer to the back where you have a stronger grip without having to clamp down so hard that you lose feeling in your fingers. So if you go back here, you have more grip than you do up here. Okay, then I'm going to wrap this short tail around the long one. And I keep it as close as I can to the pliers, just as a guide, so that it's not drifting down the wire. And this is very short, so if you need to, use your pliers, your other pliers, to guide that around, like so. And again, you only need 1.5 wraps. Doesn't have to be that many, just enough to close up your loop. And I'm going to cut that off. Again, I would like this little tip to rest right here in between the two sides of the wire. Let's cut that off. And push down that little tail. There, nice, neat, and tidy. Then I'm going to add my little bead. This is a copper bead, and it looks like some of the copper shining through the silver plate. That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, you can see some of the copper shining through there. Yeah, there. Okay. So anyway, now I'm going to make my loop. So I'm going to bend my wire off to the side, like so, because my hook is going to go up and down. So I want my loop to go side to side. Just a little directional thing. Grab my round nose pliers. Again, slide it down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers to be consistent with my other loops. Bring that short tail of wire around. And down the side till it can't go any further. Open my pliers, reposition them on top of my half loop, and bring that the rest of the way around. Here we go. Make a little adjustment so that it's right there on top the way I want it. Yeah. And let's wrap it up. Nice. Nice and snug. Cut all that the last little bit that I don't need. And push down that end. Get it as close in between the wraps as possible so I can't feel it. Yay. Nice. And now I'm going to make my hook. All right, so what I'm going to do is take this little stem that I've got going here, the little double stem, and I'm going to bend it towards me right here at the base of my wrap. So I don't want a big space in between. I want that bend to be right here at the top here. So I'm just gonna put my thumbnail in there and bend that just like that. So it just looks like a little duck bill or something. Then I'm gonna go down here to the other side and make sure that's straight. To the other end with your round nose pliers or your square pliers. Round is probably easier because you've got a tinier tip. And right here at the tip of those double wires, with the tip of my pliers, I'm going to also bend in the same direction that I did this bend. Just a tiny little bit. Just like that. So this is what I have now. Make sure everything's nice and straight. So then I'm going to go in with my round pliers right under this little bend that I did at the tip. I'm going to slide my wire down almost to the back of my pliers. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can go in the middle of this and push that around. I like to do the rotating motion thing. So I go right under where I have that little ladle there, about a 1/16 of an inch, and that's not measurable. Just put your finger in there. And if your fingernail fits, then that's as far down as you need to go. Just as long as you're under that little bend, you're fine. And I put a small bend in, just a small turn. And then I open up and reposition on top, right there where it's curved. And then do another small bend. And do that again and again until I have my shepherd's hook. The tip touches the wrap. And there it is. There's my shepherd's hook. Ta-da! So there's my hook. There's my loop. I always like this nice and tight against my wraps so that when I slide this on, it snaps into place and it won't fall back off until I take it off. So there's my little hook and eye, and I'm going to add it to my bracelet. So I'm going to put the silver side over here. Oh, they're both gold. It's gold on both sides. I ended up with 2 gold sides. You know why? Because I intended to make another link, but it was going to be too much. Okay. So I've got silver on this side and gold on this side and 2 golds. So I'm going to go ahead and put this gold one, this little gold one over here, this silver one over here, just because why not? There's no reason or rhyme to what I'm doing. I'm just playing around and coming up with a great bracelet. Now, I put that on without explaining. We've done this many times, but I will explain anyway. So I take the loop, the closed loop of my hook, slide it down the tail of that wire from my other loop, pop that right inside, and grab my square pliers. Let's close this loop up. Make sure that other one is out of the way. I don't want that to get caught. in there. Okay, and wrap that up. That's nice and tight. I was gonna say you can wrap it as many times as you want to make it tight. But really, you're gonna have movement on these just because of the way the beads are made. So it depends on what you want it to look like. I think that's enough times around. Snip that off. And push that little tail down, that little tip. Yeah, oh, no, I felt it. Okay. And let's go to the other side and put my loop on. Slide my closed loop inside the open loop. Go. Grab my square pliers. Grab that face of my loop. Oh, this is so funny. You know what? I think I'm going to go in with the round ones. Sometimes that's necessary, just to get in there and hold on to it. And wrap my little loop. There we go. This one has a lot of movement, so I'm going to tighten that up a little bit more with a few more reps. There we go. Let me get that off. Pushed, oops. Let's get that a little closer, a little bit more, so that it rests right there in the middle of my loop. Okay. Push that down. And snug. A little bit more. You have to be patient with yourself with these endings. A lot of times it looks good, but if your finishing isn't good, then that doesn't work. There we go. And there's my bracelet. Yay! Isn't that neat? Ooh, I really love these things sometimes, these little unisex things. I'll check my little measurement. I'm a little late now, but let's double check my measurements. Yes. There we go. Let's try it on. A little bit bigger than I usually wear, but there it is. There's my little steampunk metal bracelet. Yay, 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 yay. Yay. Where's the clasp? Oh, there it is. My goodness, it's so beautifully hidden. I love it. Isn't that neat? I really like this, and I like the fact that I've got both silver and gold. I'm not much of a gold wearer, But you put the two together and I like it. And practically all of my little beads, look at this craziness. They're all silver and gold. So needless to say, those of you who get kits, I'm gonna go in here, scoop up a bunch of these little guys and say, go to town. And every single one of these is going to be different. There will not be any two alike because there can't be any two alike. I can't wait to see what you make. Please show me. I want to see what you do with this because it's exciting and different. And just very raw. I love it, even though they're shined up and everything. But I just love this. I like it when we do something a little bit different, and this is different. Okay, I could look at this forever and talk your ears off, but so I won't do that. So there it is. There's my bracelet. Oh, and it really goes nicely with my little metal earrings. These are silver and copper, but I think it all works. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, those of you who get kits, I hope that you will show me what you do with your little treasures because this is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to just dig around in and see what you can do with what you've got and use your basic everyday skills in order to put it together into something that's all you. Let me know what you thought of this. Please get in touch with me and let me know what is on my glasses? And let me know how you like this. You can get in contact with me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. You can also contact me at, you can give me, my scarf is falling off. You can give me comments and pictures, please, 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 on the library, the DeKalb County Library Facebook page. That's facebook.com/DeKalb Library, spelled DeKalb or you can leave me comments on the DeKalb County Library YouTube page, which is youtube.com/DeKalb Library. So I hope to hear from you because that just makes my day when I see what you do with the kits that you have or with the things that you have at home, because that makes it a lot of fun too. And I love to post those on the DeKalb County Library Facebook page just to see what these tutorials are producing. So until next time, I hope you have a great week and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.